Next up is going to be the touchdown goal. And for the background, I was going to do white, but green just seems more reasonable to me. So we're going to use the outline flood. The outline is typically the smaller bag because you're just not going to use as much of it. Okay, so the outline, and snip off that little tip. And ready to go. So put your tip down, pull up. You don't have to pull up real far. Every time you stop, you want to get closer, you know, like at the corner, excuse me. You want to get closer to the cookie, like right here. Close, pull up. And let it just fall onto the cookie. It's tempting to pull it, but just take it nice and slow. The slower you go, the more professional it will be. Go down to the cookie, over and down. Stop squeezing at that end, okay? Of course, we'll do the flood. Let's do a little bit more. This is a bigger cookie. Again, you're going to want to move a little faster. If you have a tiny hole in the bag, it's going to dry and it's going to leave all kinds of ripples and everything. You're not going to like the outcome of that, so make sure your hole is big enough for this flood icing. As you can tell, this is in real time. I usually speed my videos up. But this one's not going to be. It's going to be a little bit longer because of that. Now with the flood, I don't really go back down to the cookie at those corners because I'll be taking my scribe and getting them really close if need be. Okay. So when you do this, you don't always have to just keep going on the outline. Just whatever your heart's content, you just do that. Like you see, I'm not just going on the outline. You want to keep that edge that you pipe wet, or it's going to crust over and leave a definition, and you don't want that. Okay, there's the green. And this will depend on too, at home with you, your icing consistency. The thicker it is, the faster you want to go, because it will really be blotchy. Again, just going to hit that around, and it's a little bit thicker on this one, so I'm just going to keep playing with it. What I like to do, instead of just pull up and you have that little peak right there, I like to just, as I'm doing this, go over to where I know it's going to be covered. So we're going to go over this with brown to make the goal. So I'm just trying to hide that little peak under there. I do that a lot with my cookies. Sometimes you really can't, but it helps. And with these, I think I'm just going to do brown. You could do like a gray piping, so you could make it a silver one, or you could do yellow. Yellow probably be best, but we can't have too many colors, and that's all I'll be doing. So take your outline and just follow the outline of the cookie and what you think would be about the center. Okay. These are really easy to do. Let that crust over slightly, and then we'll add the outline. Or not the outline, but the flood. And just fill that in. There. You can go through, and if you wanted to, like I said, there's no end to decorating. I get carried away so many times. But you can add in with your outline green. Add in some grass if you want to. And they making V's. Now I'm not going to do it over the brown. Don't want color bleed. How I make grass is just do like a zigzag, and then I go in and put straight lines. Okay, just like that. And when the footballs get done, I'll add a football onto that. You can also write touchdown or game day. Just use your imagination. Okay, before we begin this, I meant to mention too that on these tipless bags, they're just a cheap version, but I really like them, but they have this seam. So when you're piping without a coupler and tip, it's always best to turn that seam down so that when you're piping, the icing will, it will cover itself, so you won't have that sharp seam sticking up. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do the footballs for that class. You can do this one of two ways. I am taking this outline royal icing consistency. You want to stay close to the template. And you can either use the flood, which is a thinner consistency, and put it on the inside, or you can continue taking this as long as it isn't. And that's what I'm going to choose to do here. It's not quite flood, but it will still, being such a small area, it will go down on itself. And you can then take your scribe and just settle it down. Royal icing consistencies, you're gonna take the time to pipe it, but then, boy, when your cookies are done and these are dry, all you have to do is just pop them off and put them on your cookie instead of taking the time later to pipe it out on the cookie. I find them to be quite relaxing. It's just kind of like a kid with a color book. You're tracing it over the image. And like I said, you always want to keep your tip clean so it's not balling up. So what I do, I'll just take my fingers, pinch the end of it as I go. You can always wash your hands, of course, afterwards, but it's the easiest for me. You can take a wet paper towel and keep it at your side to do that too. After these are good and crusted over, then I can take and add in the little white stripes to them. What I do with my royal icing, and I don't know why I've never heard anybody else do this because it's just so perfect, but just to take and when these are all done, however many you're going to do, just take and pop them in the food dehydrator if you have it. I just take that inside sheet out that I'm tracing over, keep it on this sheet protector. Sheet protectors is what I use. Some people use parchment or wax paper. I like these so well. But then I'll just take and put them on a food dehydrator rack. I use Teflon sheets on my food dehydrator racks, but I will go ahead and take those sheets off, the Teflon sheets off, and then I'll just place this plastic sheet protector. I'll place it on that rack in the dehydrator on high. Mine is 95 degrees. Oh, excuse me, that's not on high, but it's on the high setting, and for 1 hour. I'll take them out, let them come to room temperature, and they are usually ready. It will depend on how thick your royal icing is. These might take a little bit more time, but not terribly. But It sure is nice when you're, like if you have humidity and they just won't dry. The food dehydrator will take care of that for you. I've never tried it, but I would assume you could put them into a warm oven. Not on, but like warm the oven up on low is what I would try to do. And then you can just pop them in there, shut the oven off and pop them in there for, whatever, like even overnight, but not have the oven on. Just a warm oven because royal icing loves heat, dry heat. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do with the footballs for now. Like I said, we'll dry those, crust them over good, and then add the white stripes to them. So now the footballs and the lightning bolts are dried. And I'm just pulling these out of the dehydrator, which was about 5 minutes ago, 7 minutes ago. And you can see that they just pop right off. And these are pretty thick too. These are not real dainty like some of them. They're pretty thick. So you can tell how effective that dehydrator is, a dehydrator. You can see that I probably oversaturated the footballs a little bit because a few of them are cracking. Most of them did not, just like maybe 3 of them did. But they just pop right off. It's just so wonderful doing it this way, okay? So we will go ahead and put them on a couple of the cookies so you can see what the finished product is going to look like. Here we go. And add in a football. Get one that's not cracked. Here we go. And you can put it wherever you want to. We're not going to use, for the class, you can put it however you want to. There we go. We're not going to use food color markers for the class, but you could easily put, like I said, whatever you want to write, game day or touchdown, anything like that. And from here on out, you could use also a food color marker, the white ones, to put your stripes on. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to use the outline icing. Move around a little because it's not dried on the cookie. There we go. And like that. And you could make the tip of it very small so it doesn't give thicker lines like this, but you get the idea. And that's the touchdown cookie.